Welcome to the Owner's Chair. Today we are at the Bailey Kill Estates in Fairfield, California. Bailey Kill is the only winery in California to produce wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large, beautiful event center and a car museum and beautiful views of vineyards. Etienne, welcome. It's truly an honor.
It's my pleasure to be here with you, Randy. Look forward to our conversation.
Definitely. I'm super excited. Your family has created a legacy here with deep roots in the community and culture. From your perspective as both founder and a cultural shaping expert, what was your original vision of the Fairfield Automotive, and how has it evolved over the years?
It's an interesting question, especially since perhaps from talking to my husband, as you often do, you learn that this was not on our agenda, on our horizon, but it was an opportunity that emerged that we decided to pursue. And when we thought about it, I think what we had in mind was to be more than a dealership. Sure, we would sell cars and service cars and all of that, but we really wanted to distinguish and differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. The retail automotive space, it's been around for a long time. Things have been done the same way for a long time. And we thought that one way to create competitive advantage was to differentiate ourselves in terms of how we did business, how we treat our employees, how we treat our customers, and the relationships that we wanted to build in the community.
Yeah, you've definitely you've been doing this for a long time, as far as doing community work and getting people together on a human level.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll dig deep into that later
Okay.
on. But I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you.
You're widely recognized for your work in aligning organizations and bringing that human-centered approach to business. How have you woven this approach to the Fairfield Automotive, and how has it impacted both employee experience and customer satisfaction?
Good questions. So every business has to have some principles, guidelines, and an approach to how they're going to do business. And for us, we're driven by, three basic principles. One is operational excellence. The other is an exceptional guest experience. And the third is an exceptional employee experience. Every business is in business to make money. So clearly that's what we're trying to do as well. Build intergenerational wealth for our family, for our grandkids. And the way that we think we're going to do that is by being really good at what we do inside of our organization, how we run that business, the approach we take to selling cars. And how we're going to do that is also by treating our employees well, making sure that their experience is of a high quality. Because if we treat our employees well, they're going to treat our guests well. And I think that's the package that we're trying to and the approach we're trying to take. It is, I think, pretty well documented at this point that highly engaged employees stay around. And in this business, where churn, especially in the car salesman or client advisor role, is what we call it, it can be a role that experiences a lot of churn. And I think across the industry, that's just become accepted practice, that you just hire people and you'll lose people. And so we're trying to switch the game up a little bit where that's concerned. We think if we do a great job of hiring people and engaging people, that they'll take care of our customers and we'll take care of them and we'll make some money in the process.
No, that's great. That's great. So it's easy to say that that's one of your big roles here is uh, like a human relations type of deal. When you say human relations, every job we think about to me it's looked at like a desk job, but it sounds like you're more one on one with everybody, and you're trying to create a culture.
Yeah, so we had the luxury because essentially when you get an open point, which is what it's called in the retail automotive space, and that's what the manufacturers say. They're in control of where a dealership will open. But it's a startup, essentially. And because it's a startup, we get a chance to set the tone from the beginning.
Hmm.
We haven't worked together before. And so we get to say how it is we want to work together. We get to say how it is we think we all should behave if we're trying to create profitability, if we're trying to engage in our community, if we're trying to have a high level employee experience. That's all about how will we work together. That's essentially what culture is. It is the behaviors of the people in any organization, and leaders can set the tone for what those behaviors should be. So we paid a lot of attention, put a lot of thought into what we thought was important to us as a family, what we value, and how those values could help to uplift our organization, differentiate it, and help us to make some money. So I spend my time thinking about people and talent, so more broadly than human relations, but how do we optimize the talent of people in our organization so that they have a great experience that leads to a great guest experience that leads to that profitability.
So is this something different that you guys are doing compared to other dealerships or even other businesses that you've created, or are you going off a certain kind of guideline on something that's already out there? Or?
Well, I mean, I think this idea of employee experience, of a high performance culture, of those pieces and the relationship between how well you can execute the strategies of the business and to what extent your people can be productive and high performance, which again, is going to help us achieve our ultimate goal of running profitable stores. It's out there, and there are some leaders that lean into this more heavily than others. Um, I think it's probably fair to say in retail automotive that what we're talking about is a little different than the average dealership. Um, there's just been this history of we hire people, they're our
Mhm.
employees, and you tell them what you want them to do, and they just do it. And if they don't do it, then you fire them, right?
Mhm.
And I think what we're saying is they're employees, but they're also people. And people, when they come to work in your organization, they have needs, just like everybody else, right? I mean, they want to do something meaningful. I think we all do.
Right.
And so I think this idea of being more than a dealership, of having these deep connections into our communities that we serve, being focused on providing our guests with an exceptional experience is how we're trying to differentiate ourselves, is how we think we could compete in a very competitive marketplace.
That's great. What What are some of the aha moments you've seen when employees connect their roles to the Fairfield's larger mission?
So I hear I don't work directly with folks. I'm not running a store, for example. But I know that there are employees, folks who work with us who just who bend over backwards to make things happen. If one of their colleagues out, they step up and they step in and they make things happen in folks' absences, or if they see something that needs to be done and they do it. People
Mhm.
work really hard, and I think it's my opinion and my experience, and I think a lot of leaders would also agree with this, um, that when you treat people well and they are clear about what you expect of them and they're clear about what their goals are, and they're clear that you care about them, they will run through fire. They will run through a wall to make happen what you want to make happen. And one of the quotes that I've come across just in my experience is one that says that, leadership is the art of getting people to do what you need done because they want to do it. So the question for every leader is, how do we get the people in our organizations to want to do what we need them to do? And that's really about inspiring and motivating people. Sure, we have to pay them good salaries. People are motivated by money, but they're also motivated by the opportunity to contribute, to work really hard to make a difference. And so we try to combine those pieces.
It definitely sounds just like a sports team.
Yeah. Well, I think that's my orientation. I think that's my family's orientation because we're all athletes and we understand that essentially we're trying to build a team. And we're going to build a team that wins because we care about them and we're going to make sure that they have everything they need to compete and to succeed. We are going to connect that purpose of being more than a dealership to their opportunities to develop and grow in their careers, to have caring managers who get that they're not just an employee, but also a person, who are going to give them continuous feedback and help them build and grow their strengths.
Hmm. In your career, we've often spoke about creating momentum and aligning teams, and we just spoke about teams. Uh, in an industry like automotive, how do you balance the legacy of your family business with the need for innovation and growth?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would say that within our family are people who are creative and curious, who are learners, and who like to break things and do things differently.
Hmm.
So I think that in what we're trying to do in the ways that we build relationships with our guests within our market and among the team of people that we have working across our organizations is certainly our view of how we're trying to build momentum. When people are clear about what it is we're trying to do, and they have the training and are being developed to pull that off, then you're going to create a flywheel of sorts. You're going to create this momentum where hopefully, what we get is a finely tuned machine, right? Things that happen because people know what to do, because people are assuming responsibility for what needs to be done, because people feel appreciated for their efforts and talents. And all of those pieces spin around together to create, hopefully a secret sauce for us that enables us to both attract people to our organization, but also keep them.
So within your family, growing up, it sounds like you encourage difference. Thinking outside of the box. Um, we spoke earlier about I feel now even parents are more open to independence,
Hmm.
thinking outside of the box, creating systems, uh, and it seems like you translated that to the business.
Yeah, I think we're all always trying to be cutting edge, always trying to think differently about how to do something that's been done for a long time. Um, it's in that opportunity for change and discomfort and growth where you actually change and make a difference. You don't make a difference by doing the same thing over and over again. I would say that each of our kids certainly approach the world differently. And I think it was our job as parents certainly to support what they were trying to do, the interests that they had. Just as we were talking earlier, your kids evolve and they try different things
Hmm.
until something sticks. And I think it's this idea of trying and succeeding, and also trying and failing, that brings about some lessons that move us all forward.
So we spoke on the fact that we were talking about young athletes getting signed, and when you were at your son's signing, you noticed that they were students there that were uh, awarded scholarships and recognition, but it wasn't on the platform that the athletes were, because they got theirs for just education.
Mhm.
And then you and Hal founded the WEB, the Borders Society, and to highlight things like that.
Yeah.
You want to speak more on that?
Yeah, it's kind of going back in the archives of our history, but it's an important part of it. As we were talking, and Justin was he was quite a basketball player in high school. Went on to earn a college scholarship. The amount of effort that he put into being a great baller was not the same effort as being a great student. But don't get me wrong, he was not a bad student. Just from his father, in my perspective, the effort was differentiated. More effort in athletics, less effort in academics. And so we, with the Du Bois Society, we wanted to, have a counter narrative to that, because you could be both and. You could be a great athlete and a great student, but mostly what our kids see, even today, is just the role models of athletics, and being great in those endeavors, and we don't really lift up students who are great in the classroom. So we wanted to have a countervailing narrative that says scholarship is as important, and excelling in the classroom is as important as excelling on any field, court, or stage.
So you went to Boston. Which college out there?
Boston University.
Boston University. So from what I'm hearing, you were the first black basketball
No,
athlete there.
I was well. I don't think I was the first black, because I had a black teammate, but I was the first class of women athletes following the passage of Title IX. So before Title IX passed in 1973, women were not offered college scholarships. The only scholarships to be had were men. But with Title IX, um, that discrimination barrier was broken. And so women started to be offered athletic scholarships. And I was one of the first ones to get a scholarship to Boston University.
That's great.
Following the passage of that law.
So with that, you ended up going to D1 school.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, were your thoughts on education different than Justin's at the time? Were you more focused on that, or?
I mean, I was a baller. I wanted to, I love playing basketball. I love winning. I love competing. Unfortunately, there was no W back in those days. So ultimately, I had to start thinking about what I was going to do next. What would my career be? And, I grew up also with a father who placed a lot of value on education. And I don't know if the differences of being a female child versus a male child. Clearly, men, young boys have had more opportunity to pursue athletics than women, just because of that discrimination that existed in terms of scholarship opportunities at the collegiate level. But, so I think it's fair to say I competed in both spaces, because I knew that that was what was expected of me in my house at that time. But I did have an aha, probably, through college, that what was going to be next, and that I needed to begin to really focus and think about that career path, because it wasn't going to be on a court still for me.
So you spoke about the WNBA, and what do you think about where it's going now? I love what it's doing, where it's heading now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 years, and it's finally starting to break through. But women have been balling out for a long time. And, fortunately, there's always a tipping point in everything. You never know. I always wonder what you can do to create a tipping point. I haven't figured that out for myself yet. But clearly, I think, the play of Caitlin Clark has created that tipping point, to present the opportunity to give the W more exposure and the players in the league more exposure. But I think what we've been seeing also through that process is there have been a lot of women who've been playing the sport for a
Hmm.
long time, who are excellent, at what they do. Very competitive players, very very strong players.
So, with the strong basketball background, obviously you've been playing sports for a long time. Uh, you bring a lot of that to the Fairfield Automotive.
Hmm.
Um, we also spoke about that as far as the acknowledgments that sports uh, doesn't give you when you're grinding. Um, and I think it's big to for kids uh, to learn that early. Uh, at Fairfield Automotive, do you make a point to uh, acknowledge more than quote unquote normal?
That's an interesting question. That's our intention, right? I mean, and I think, and so I'm going to say yes, and we can be better at it. Um, because of my identity around athletics, I do think about what we're trying to do as in part build a team that can execute. And good leaders are those who have the ability to collaborate and to work together and pull people together toward a common goal.
Mhm.
So, one of our core values is collaboration and the idea of fostering that sense of team, even though there are lots of places in the business where people are working individually and not on a team per se, but we're all on the Fairfield Automotive Partners team. And so we're trying to imbue the organization with that sense of collegiality and teamwork because that's where momentum can happen.
Mhm.
That's where understanding what my role is and what your role is, and how we could do some cross learning across roles, so we could be better teammates to one another.
No, I do the same thing in my business. Everybody there has their strong suits, and as long as we come together and teach each other,
Hmm.
then the whole team. You're only as strong as your weakest link,
That's right.
and so I try to keep my weakest link stronger than
Hmm.
everybody
Hmm.
else, and we're good. Um, community. I spoke with Hal. I spoke with Justin. You guys are big as far as community involvement. Why is giving back so central to your family's values?
I'm there's a I'm not a deeply religious person, but what comes to mind is the adage, the scripture, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I think it's something that Hal and I both learned from our parents that we've passed down to our kids. But it's also so there's a value of it being altruistically important to us. Like it's just what people do, good people do. You make these connections. But there's also a win-win aspect to it, of course. In terms of we operate a business in a community, we're trying to sell cars to people who live and work in these communities. And if people don't know us and what we stand for and what we're about, then we're just like everybody else. But the more you can get to know us because of the relationships we want to foster and have fostered, and the experience you have with us and the way that we treat you, we hope extends our brand out into the community, enhances our reputation. All these pieces fit together.
Hmm.
And there's another saying about, people, may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So it is all about, the experience that we create for people in our market, for our employees and for our guests.
No, that's great. So you're not just a leader, but you're also a mentor in many ways. What is one of your personal leadership philosophies, and how do you work to inspire and guide team at Fairfield?
So I really think about leadership as being of service to other people. You know, I think the old mindset about leadership was you're in charge. People do what you say. They follow you. People follow people who care about them. Bottom line, end of story. And um, and so leadership to me is about helping other people achieve their goals, be their best selves, which means that while I might come in and I have responsibilities and tasks that I have to accomplish as a leader in whatever space I might be in, my main responsibility, as I see it anyway, is to think about the people that I'm around that may be working with me or for me at any given point in time, and think about what it is they need to be successful and how I can help them do that.
Mm-hmm. So when you think when you think about or even grooming the future leaders within Fairfield Automotive, or even the young entrepreneurs watching, even myself, what qualities do you believe that are essential for building a successful people-centered business?
Well, right off the top of my head, I always think, it's just so important for us to learn and to continuously learn. We have, as we grow, we acquire knowledge both formally and informally, helps to shape who we become and how we think and what we believe. But it doesn't stop because we reach a certain age. And so the opportunity, I think, for leaders and for all of us, because any one of us can be a leader, is, and one of the critical characteristics of that is that you're also a learner. When you think about leaders, as I like to say, casting shadows on the organizations that they're leading, how they behave matters. And to the extent that your mind is open versus closed, to the extent that you're curious, that you're comfortable with ambiguity, some of those kinds of what I think of as learning behaviors, then I think people will see that and begin to model that as well. And in that way, you're helping to grow the talent of your organization organically, which can be coupled with formal, development and training you might offer. But at the end of the day, just as you have kids, it's monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
The behaviors you exhibit are the ones that your kids are going to pick up, are the ones that our employees are going to pick up, because it really is. It's important that we say things that we believe, and that we talk and we express values and we just convey what we think is important. But I think it's even more important to behave against what you're saying, because that's, people can see that disconnect and that inauthenticity about what you're saying. And so you can say one thing and do something else, but I'm going to do what you do.
No, definitely. I try to manage it in the same ordinance as far as wouldn't ask nobody or set something in motion that I wouldn't do. If I got to pick up a shovel or a broom,
Hmm.
it's not a problem. So I definitely understand what you're saying. Uh, did a little research, and I also know that you're also a certified partner of the predictive index, which is quite unique.
Hmm.
How has leveraging data through the predictive index influenced your approach to talent management and team alignment?
So if you believe, as I do, that people are at the heart of your business, um, then learning as much about the people that you want to bring into your business or that you have in your business, I think, um, provides some added leverage for your organization. And you think, historically, from a human resources perspective, it's typically been more compliance. What are the rules? Have we followed them? We're going to hire people. Here are the benefits. But I think because certainly, there's such a global talent shortage. And I expect everything I read says that that will persist for some time. Finding really good people is very challenging. And so if you can bring some different data into the whole people space, which has been devoid of data historically. Okay, what's your resume say? That suggests you have this experience. And I'm looking for experience like that you have that suggests you have certain skills.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't paid as much attention previously to then, well, what behaviors do you come with in my organization, and can you contribute to the culture I'm trying to build?
So, what for everybody? What is the predictive? What is the predictive index?
So the predictive index is a software platform that uses psychometric data to understand different personality types. And specifically, it's focused on the needs and drives of people that they bring into a workplace. So again, I made a statement before that we hire people and they're our employees, but they're also humans. They're also people, and they have their own needs. They have their own drives. And so I think what Predictive Index tries to do is help companies understand who the people are that you're bringing into your organization, or who the people are that you need in your organization. So there are a lot of other products that are competitive with Predictive Index. Um, I think Predictive Index is a little better in terms of um, the specifics of the intelligence that's gathered about people, especially around, what do people need in the from the workplace, and how do they tend to behave. Again, everything, it, there are obvious tasks, and we need people to be able to manage a lead, follow up on a lead, contact a customer, engage with a customer as they bring their cars in for service. But we also want to know what drives them, because we want to tap into what intrinsically drives them and use that as in the ways that we try to motivate people. So it's like the more intelligence you can gather about who people are that you're thinking about bringing into your organization, or that are already in your organization, you can leverage that intelligence.
So this can work with any.
Any
Yeah.
business, any business,
What
any
about
sector.
sports?
It could work in a sports organization. I'm not aware, but might be an opportunity for me. I'm not aware of a sports organization, professional sports organization that uses um, predictive index specifically, or any other of the competing um, um, analytics. But lots of different companies across industries do use this data, from law firms to healthcare practices,
Mhm.
to automotive retail.
The future of Fairfield Automotive, looking ahead, uh, where do you see this going for the next 5 to 10 years?
Um, I see us growing. Um, Certainly, if my son has his way, right, we'll have more dealerships and more opportunities to serve communities, and more opportunities to build a team of people that can help us execute on our strategies and make those businesses successful. At the end of the day, we're going to think about um, expanding our portfolio, as it were, beyond the 3 stores that we have. Means we're going to have more people working with us, which means we're going to have more opportunity to align people to our goals, and build that momentum that enables us to succeed across those different business lines.
So, what is your dream uh, that you have for the company that reflects the vision of the of a high performance human centered organization?
So one part of that dream is that we, because of the way that we treat our guests, they talk about us in the marketplace among their family and coworkers, and because their experience is so good, we have um, this group of people coming to see us that, obviously we're always marketing and trying to build awareness, but we have more word of mouth traffic because people said we're good people. People said we run great businesses. People say the experience they've had with us is top notch. And so that brings people into our organization, people who want to do business with us. That would be ideal. Similarly, because of the way that we treat our employees, they're talking to their networks and to their family. And so as people are looking for opportunity, they think about us because they've heard great things about us. And I think about, us continuously becoming more operationally excellent, getting all of our processes down and the ways that we do business down, so that we're operating as this finely tuned machine.
So, lastly, for those who are interested in joining the team or investing with the Fairfield Automotive Group, what makes this organization stand out, and why should they be excited to join this journey with you?
So I think anybody who wants to do something meaningful, we're a retail automotive business. That doesn't sound all that great. Lots of people are doing that. But again, we want to be more than a dealership. So if you want to be with a group of people who care about each other, who work really hard, who are able to take care of their families, who are learning every day to do something new and better and different, who are, working with a group of people who are invested in the community, and making a difference in the communities that those businesses operate in, this is going to be a place you want to be at. Because it's not just about coming to work and greeting a guest and servicing a car or buying a part or selling a car. It's more than that. It's about how we take care of each other as we're doing all those things and make our marks in the communities that we're serving so that people feel like we're good stewards and good partners who run a good business.
I mean, I see it because every time I've sit down with anybody part of your group, we always end up talking about that it's more than a dealership. So, and I see it, and that's it's lacking,
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely appreciate your vision on bringing that human centeredness to the organization. That's huge.
Yeah.
Um, I think we can wrap this up.
Okay.
I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to keep researching you guys because every time I turn around, there's something new that I'm learning that you guys were on the forefront of doing. And I appreciate you sharing your insights with us, your vision, your dedication. Keep going. Hopefully, we all can just follow and create our own path and think outside the box and create these systems for ourselves.
Bring the people with you.
Definitely.
Nice to be with you.
No, and I'm excited to watch this incredible legacy happen, and I'm glad to be a part of it too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.